Greetings everyone, and welcome back. I hope you have been well. Today, we shall continue our series on European chivalry, reading poetry composed by French troubadours Marcabru, Bertran de Born, and Gaucelm Faidit. Today's works shall be different from recent poetry we have read, in that they reflect more than standard styles of troubadour and chivalric poetry. It is not typical for a troubadour to give a detailed anecdote in their poetry, as Marcabru does, to convey moments of emotional resonance. And seldomly do we find honest lamentations in commemoration of kings, as Gaucelm Faidit espouses through his poetry. Yet, their distinct and inspiring poems provide insight into the chivalric way, how a courtly lady would mourn the absence of her beloved, how a knight would console such a lady, and how a knight might mourn the passing of a venerable king, one who he perceives to be among the greatest monarchs who have ever lived. For those who are new to the channel, it is our ambition here to explore the code of chivalry, and similarly noble creed through poetry, both recent and archaic, as this is how we can truly understand the virtues of the past, and use them to shape ourselves, helping to build a better world. If you wish to read today's pieces for yourself, you can find them linked in the description. But now, relax and take heart, for this poetry is the stuff of chivalry. Our first poem comes to us by Marcabru. Life from 1130 to 1150 AD. Marcabru was a powerful influence on later poets who adopted the troubadour style. He experimented, as here, with the pastorella. Among his patrons were William X of Aquitaine and, probably, Alfonso VII of Leon. Marcabru may have traveled to Spain in the entourage of Alfonso Jourdan, Count of Toulouse, in the 1130s. In the 1140s, he was a propagandist for the Reconquista of Spain from the Moors. His poem is A la Fontana del Vergier, to the fountain of the Vergier. In an orchard down by the stream, where at the edge the grass is green, in the shade of an apple tree, by a plot of flowers all white, where spring sang its melody, I met alone without company, one who wishes not my solace. She was a young girl, beautiful, child of the lord of that castle. But when I thought the songbird's call might, from its tree, make her heart light, and sweet the fresh season all, and she might hear my prayers fall, a different look did cross her face. A tear flowed the fount beside, and from her heart her prayer sighed. Jesus, King of the world, she cried, through you my grief is at its height. Insult to you confounds me, I lose the best of this world wide. He goes to serve and win your grace. With you goes my handsome friend, the gentle, noble, and brave I send. Into great sorrow I must descend, endless longing, and tears so bright. I, King Louis to ill did tend, who gave the order and command, that brought such grief to my heart's space. When I heard her so, complaining, I went to her, by fountains flowing. Lady, I said, with too much crying, your face will lose its color quite, and you've no reason yet for sighing, for he who makes the birds to sing will grant you joy enough apace. My lord, she said, I do believe that God will have mercy on me, in another world eternally, and many other sinners delight, but here he takes the thing from me, that is my joy. Small joy I see, now that he's gone so far away. Our next poem comes to us by Bertran de Born. Bertran de Born, a minor nobleman from the Limousin, shared with his brother the lordship of Hautefort. One of the major troubadours of the 12th century, his warlike nature and love of political intrigue, particularly his espousing the divisive cause of Henry, the young English king, caused Dante to place him in the Inferno as a stirrer up of strife. He ended his life as a monk in the Abbey of Delon, where his presence is recorded from 1197 to 1202 AD. His poem, Bimplelu Gatem de Pescar, also known as The Joyful Springtime Pleases Me, has been read earlier in our series. However, this is a different translation, and perhaps it can provide further insight into this poem. The joyful springtime pleases me, that makes the leaves and flowers appear. I'm pleased to hear the gaiety of birds, those echoes in the ear, of song through greenery. I'm pleased when I see the field, with tents and pavilions free, and joy then comes to me, all through the meadowlands to see the heavy-armored cavalry. It pleases me when outriders make laborers and cattle flee. It pleases me when follow after crowds of well-armed soldiery. And I am pleased at heart to see great castles forced by art, their walls taken, rent apart, to see a host at war, enclosed by moats in every part, with close-knit palisades and more. I'm also pleased to view some lord, who leads the vanguard in attack, on armored horse, a fearless sword, who can inspire his men to hack, away and bravely fight, and when the conflict's joined aright, each must in readiness to light, and follow where he might, for none attains to honor's height, till blows have landed left and right. Clubs and blades and painted helms, shields that swords and lances batter, we'll see when fighting first begins, and many vassals strike together. Their steeds will wander, mounts of dead or wounded warrior, and when he enters in the lather, let each noble brother think only arms and heads to shatter. Better to die than let them conquer. It is not my taste, I tell you, eating, drinking, sleeping, when I hear voices cry, "Set to!" From either side, hearing then, horses neighing in the gloom, and cries of, "Help me, aid me too," and in the grassy ditches tomb, for great and small to their doom, seeing the corpses twice run through, by lances on which pennants loom. Love would have lovers chivalrous, good with weapons, eager to serve, noble in language, generous, knowing how to act and observe, both outdoors and within, according to the powers they're given. Such is our pleasant company, then, refined and courteous men. She that in bed such love does win, is cleansed forever of her sin. Noble Countess, you are the best that's seen or ever will be seen. Men say, compared with all the rest, the noblest lady on earth, I mean. High-born Beatrice, fine lady in acts and worthiness, fountain from which flows all goodness, and beauty all peerless. Your rich fame is in such excess, of all others you appear mistress. One of high lineage, in whom is every beauty, I love, am loved by her deeply, and she grants me courage, so I'll not superseded be by some other presumptuously. Barons go pawn freely, all your castles, towns, and cities, before ever you halt your armies. A note on this poem. Ye and nay is Richard the First of England, Lionheart, younger brother of the young English king, Henry. Papillon is Bertran de Born's court minstrel. Our final poem comes to us by Gaucelm Faidit, 1170 to 1202 AD. Born in Uzerche, in the Limousin, from a family of knights in the service of the Count of Turin, he traveled widely in France, Spain, and Hungary. His known patrons include Geoffrey II, Duke of Brittany, and Dalphie d'Alverna. He was at one time in Poitiers, at the court of Richard I of England, known as the Lionheart, on whose death he wrote this plan. It is possible, but controversial, that he took part in the Third Crusade from 1189 to 1191. It seems likely that in 1202 he set out on the Fourth Crusade, as did his then patron, Boniface of Montferrat. After 1202, there is no further mention of him. His poem is a harsh thing it is that brings such harm. A harsh thing it is that brings such harm, the worst woe, alas, I've suffered, this, such that in weeping I will ever mourn, for so I must sing it now, and utter, that he, the summit and crown of valor, noble, brave Richard, King of the English, is dead. Ah God, what harm, what loss, what strange words, how grievous to hear. Firm heart a man needs that suffers here. Dead is the king, and 1,000 years gone, since one of such worth was such vile loss, nor was ever a man like him, not one, so brave, so free, so generous, giving, that none half as much or more has given, since Alexander thrashed Darius, not Charlemagne, nor Arthur, as valorous, as he who made men, if truth appear, either rejoice in him, or shake with fear. I marvel that in this false world not one generous or courteous man should exist. None now value good words, fine action, and why should a man aim high or low? Now death has shown us his mighty blow, who at one stroke takes the best there is. All honor, worth, oh, all good we miss. Now he sees there is none to shield us. A man may dread his own dying less. I, brave lordly king, what's to be done with our vast armies, great tournaments, bright courts and fine gifts and handsome, if you're gone, that had their captaining? What's to be done for those suffering, all those for your good service meant, who waited on you, life's ornament? What's to be done with them, in despair, whom you brought to great riches there? A wretched life, and worse death they'll win, a grievous time, whether far or near. And Saracen, Turk, Persian, Paynim, who more than all found you to dread, will grow in pride and power instead, more slowly will gain the sepulchre. God wills so, for did he not, it's clear, that if you, Lord, had lived unfailingly, from Syria they'd have sought to flee. No longer have I hope, through grace, some king or prince might all oversee. For those who will occupy your place needs have regard to their love worth. Your two brave brothers are under earth, the young king, noble Count Geoffrey, and who remains to replace these three? He'll need a lofty heart, firm thought, to work good deeds, aid those he ought. Ah, Lord God, you, our true pardoner, true God, true man, true life, have mercy on him who has pressing need of it. Pardon, and Lord, oh, look not on his error, but how he served you. Now remember. A note on this poem. Richard I, the Lion-Hearted, was killed at the minor siege of Châlons-Chabrol in 1199 by a stray bolt from a crossbow. Of his two elder brothers, the young king, Henry, had died in 1183, and Geoffrey, Duke of Brittany, in 1186. His younger brother John succeeded him as king. I hope you have enjoyed today's readings and have learned something from the poetry of these troubadours. If you would like to hear more chivalric poetry, please like our videos and subscribe to our channel. Peace be with you. Until next time, we speak of chivalry and poetry.